the former home of President Grant, an abandoned railroad corridor, and Clydesdales. These are just a few of the sights you will see on today's tour of the Greenway. Welcome to the Greenway with Mac, a channel dedicated to active transportation. We start the ride at mile marker 0 of the Gravois Greenway Grants Trail, which intersects with the River de Pere Greenway near Interstate 55 and River City Boulevard. This bridge was completed on October 10th, 2020, which connected these two greenways. Most impressively, the connection of these two greenways completed a 21.5-mile continuous ADA accessible route. The Gravois Greenway is part of the Great Rivers Greenway, a 600-mile planned network of trails to connect the St. Louis region. Currently, this greenway and its connection to the de Pere Greenway form the longest connection in the Great Rivers Greenway network. This 2-mile stretch that we are starting on is the newest section of pathway. They did an amazing job of closing this gap in the network. The route they chose mostly has us going parallel to Interstate 55. While not the most scenic, they were able to complete this route without causing major disruption or land acquisition from neighbors. Kudos to the planners for finding a route that fully separated trail users from traffic at two major crossings, Weber Road and Bayless Avenue. The route today is almost exactly 10 miles one way and takes between 1 and 2 hours to complete. The trail ends just on the other side of Highway 44 in the city of Kirkwood. This direction is uphill, mostly at the end, with a 200-foot increase in elevation. As we approach Bayless Avenue, we ascend a 600-foot pedestrian and bicycle bridge. This smooth structure allows us to cross 4 lanes of vehicle traffic without stopping. This side of the bridge, the north side, has a ramp that leads down to Bayless Avenue. On Bayless, there are a few businesses and fast food spots, but no bike lanes and awful sidewalks. So I would avoid leaving the trail here unless absolutely necessary. In this next section, we are winding our way back to the former railroad right-of-way, where we will remain for the rest of the trip to Kirkwood. Mind your way through the S-curve and be careful as you cross this street. Make your way onto a new bridge that was built to help restore this wetland that is just off of Gravois Creek. If you need a break, this spot is a unique one. Organizers cleaned this area of garbage and invasive plant species. Then they planted native pollinator plants to attract birds and butterflies. The elevated boardwalk bridge allows users of the trail to experience the wetland while enabling new plants to do their job of filtering water from the creek. This stretch ends the new section. For many years, people started their adventure here, next to Orlando's Event Center. Now, it is also a terrific resting spot. There is a bathroom, water, a play structure, a bike pump, picnic seating, and some parking. As we take this route, slightly sped up, it's hard not to imagine yourself on a train with its sweeping curves that split through these trees, charging toward the wild, wild west. This greenway is part of a 22.5-mile loop that I did on the day that I filmed. It took about 2 hours to complete, and the elevation change was 660 feet. Use the playlist above that stitches together the 4 sections of the ride if you would like to duplicate it. Once you cross Revis Barracks Road on the right, you'll find a trailhead with a bathroom, parking, and water fountain. Union Road is also a trailhead with parking and some picnic benches. While it's a nice shady spot, it is still under a highway. When this path was proposed, some locals were concerned about neglect and litter. The Great Rivers Greenway and St. Louis County Parks have an agreement that maintains the trail, and it seems to be working. The Greenway is gorgeous. Over the next half mile, we will pass 3 different trailheads for the Bottomland Trail. This is a walking path that takes you through the woods and is a little over a half mile in length. As you can see in this image, the trail enters the woods briefly and returns to the Greenway. To the left is the Twin Bridge Trail, a 1/2 mile long trail that takes you up to Blake C. Snyder Park. If you take this trail, you'll climb 100 feet to find restrooms, 2 softball fields, a playground, and some short hiking and biking trails. On the left, just before Cheshire Drive, is another trailhead with parking. This specific segment of the former railroad was called the Kirkwood-Carondelet Branch and was developed in 1872 when Ulysses S. Grant was president. This was controversial at the time. Grant gave the easement for his land at no charge, but others in the area complained of unfairly low compensation for the confiscation of their land. Unlike Grant, they weren't able to use the railroad as a connection to their home, something Grant did at least 4 times when returning home from the U.S. Capitol. Also on the left are the Affton Athletic Fields. In addition to a bunch of baseball and softball fields, you'll find the Affton Ice Rink. Trail users can also use the parking lots here to access this trail. Around 1930, the Missouri Pacific Railroad built the Kirkwood Cutoff, which extended the line from 1872 to a new line that routed trains north and into downtown St. Louis. By this time, there were so many trains heading into St. Louis from the west that it would cause a backup that blocked grade crossings. The wait could be as long as 6 hours to enter St. Louis on the rail line. Once we cross Gravois Road, we enter an area dense with history. Immediately on the left is Grant's farm. President Grant once owned the land here, but it has been owned and operated by the Bush family since 1903. Entry to Grant's farm is free, except for a $15 fee to park at the site. With this trail leading to their front door, taking this path to the farm is an excellent budget-friendly activity. At Grant's farm, you will take a tram around the property to see animals and the former home of the Anheuser-Busch family. In addition, you can pet animals, watch a show, and enjoy a beverage. On the right is the Ulysses S. Grant National Historic Site. Here is the home known as Whitehaven, where Grant met his wife, Julia Dent. Inside, you can learn about the complicated history of President Grant, the Dent family, and the home where they planned to spend their retirement years. On the left and behind the white fence are the world-famous Budweiser Clydesdales. On occasion, they will be close enough to snap a photo and say hello. The Kirkwood Cutoff served its purpose to relieve pressure on the line for decades until the 1990s, when rail traffic had dwindled and the line was abandoned. Trailnet purchased the abandoned section and in 1994 replaced the rails with the first section of Grant's Trail. At the time, the trail was called the Carondelet Greenway Trail. By 2006, the Great Rivers Greenway had taken over and extended the trail to its current northern terminus just north of I-44 in Kirkwood. There are plans to finish this connection into downtown Kirkwood using a remaining section of the railroad right-of-way, but there are challenges. You can find a few links to articles related to that project in the description. Watson Road is also part of historic Route 66. The history of this section of highway was covered in my other video on the Des Peres Greenway. Use the link above to check out that video. The ramp on the left leads to another trailhead with parking. This one is called Watson Road Industrial Park. This parking lot on the left is for the Sappington House, its restaurant next door, the barn, and serves as a trailhead for the Greenway. This is a brick home built by Thomas Sappington in 1808, and one of only a few homes from that era still standing. Their hours are limited. You can find a link to their website in the description. And on the right, we have one last playground and place to rest. When we cross I-44, we have completed our trip to Kirkwood. This is where the Greenway ends. If you would like to complete the loop and ride from this location to the Deer Creek Greenway at Marshall Avenue, then use the link to the playlist above. This is an on-street route for cyclists and is only recommended for riders very comfortable riding near moving vehicles. Follow the Great Rivers Greenway on social media to stay up to date on their projects and news. Press the like button if you have enjoyed this video, and subscribe to see more like it. If you would like to support the Great Rivers Greenway project, you can find a donation link in the description.